What's going on YouTube? So the Hyundai Santa Fe has grown a lot over the years in size, practicality, and style. Today we're with the latest 2027 example, and we want to know, does this continue to be one of America's best value three-row SUVs? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, like always, let's start off this review under the hood with a quick spec dump. So for 2027, it continues to offer gas and hybrid powertrains. This is the standard gas option, a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, making 277 horsepower. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. You have available all-wheel drive, and when you choose that, the combined fuel economy is 23 mpg.
Now the base price in 2027 is $35,300, and if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now of course we can't wait to take it out on the road to show you the performance, but first we need to go ahead and shut up the hood, take a look at the exterior, talk about any 2027 changes as well.
Now, of course, this generation of the Santa Fe, when it first came out, really shocked the world with its bold exterior design. That boxy look does continue on for the 2027 model year. So you'll see up here in the front, you've got that boxy grille right here with a gloss black finish. We have a gloss black finish down here on the lower fascia as well. There's a lot of trims you can get this in. What you're looking at here is the fully loaded Calligraphy trim. The XRT has a little bit more of an off-road focused design. Now, as we move over here to our headlights, we've got those signature full LED headlights with the H shape. So these are projector LEDs. They're really good at night. And again, you've got that H-shaped daytime running light and turn signal indicator. Your wheel options begin at 18 inches and move their way all the way up to 21-inch alloys when you choose the Calligraphy gas-only powertrain. So this is the largest option you can get. I like the kind of matte black finish. It looks really good when you pair it with the gloss black finish that goes around the wheel arches and the lower part of the body. Now, as far as the mirrors are concerned, blind spot monitoring and heating are included on every Santa Fe. And if you want power folding, you need to choose the limited trim and above.
Now at the side of the Santa Fe, overall vehicle length is 190.2 inches, which does mean it's around 9 inches shorter than the also three-row Hyundai Palisade, but it's quite a bit larger than a Hyundai Tucson for reference. Now in terms of design, I actually do have a 2027 change to mention. You may have noticed that the side handle is actually missing. That's because it's only on the XRT trim level for 2027. So you used to be able to have that side grab that allowed you to easily access things on the roof. That's just going to be eliminated to the XRT trim this year. We do have the raised roof rails though, and it does give you a little bit more of a cleaner aesthetic here at the side. Now, as we head around to the rear design of the Santa Fe, you once again have that very controversial design. Nothing changes when it comes to the overall look this year. So that means you have a spoiler up here, you have a wiper that's integrated underneath, and then our Santa Fe text is going to be blacked out. Let's take a look at our taillights. So our taillights are going to be LED, so they have that H motif just like the headlights. They're going to be fully LED for this taillight unit, which includes your brake light and turn signal. However, the reverse light is integrated down here, and that's going to be incandescent. I kind of wish they'd upgraded that to be fully LED. You have an exposed exhaust outlet here on the right side for the gasoline variants, and let's talk about towing. So you can tow 2,000 pounds for the hybrid, 3,500 pounds for most of the gas variants, or the XRT can actually go all the way up to 4,500 pounds. Now when it comes to safety, Hyundai gives you every single active safety feature as standard equipment, and additionally they'll throw in a few extra goodies as you move up the trim structure. XRT and above will get Highway Drive Assist 1.0, and just here on the Calligraphy you'll get Highway Drive Assist 2.0, which will actually allow for some automatic lane changes. But guys, I think you'll be super impressed with the cabin, and we have some 2027 updates to talk about. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, now let's move to the inside. First, here is our Hyundai key fob. It's the brand's typical round shape. You have standard smart entry and remote start on all trims. On the top trim here, we've got the Smart Park system as well. Getting inside the vehicle, the mirrors will fold out upon approach, and you can just grab behind the handle to unlock the door. And then once you open this door up, you will see a very nice cabin, especially if you choose the Calligraphy trim level. Even several years later, it's still very impressive looking, and let's get into some of those details. So this model will start with cloth seats on your base trim. You move to leatherette seats in the middle trims, real leather seats, and then finally you end up with Nappa leather seats here on the Calligraphy. So Nappa is a very soft and supple high-end leather. It really does feel nice to the touch. On your upper end examples, you have black, gray, or this special pecan brown color scheme. I really like this color scheme. It adds a lot of richness to the cabin. Now, as far as adjustments, you can see we've got a ton of them on board. You got a power seat on almost every single trim, but the top Calligraphy gives you the relaxation seat, so you can actually pop out this leg rest and take some epic naps when you're waiting on something to happen. Limited and Calligraphy also get memory seats, and let's go ahead and climb inside. Now, closing up the door, let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. Over here on the door trim, you'll find more of a leatherette covering in the matching pecan brown. We have a faux wood decor through here, which feels and looks very realistic, I will say. Soft touch plastic and leatherette across the upper part of the dashboard, as well as up here. We have more of the brown leather through here with the stitching detail, the wood trim going through the center section, and then more padded areas down here on the lower part. As I mentioned earlier, this really remains a very, very nice interior, especially for the price point. Now, let's fire it up. And now we need to get into individual details. Taking a look at our gauge cluster, first, as the first stop here, we've got the premium full digital 12.3-inch display that's on your upper end examples. Plus, on the limited and above, you get the blind spot camera system, and you can change up the design a little bit as well. Only the Calligraphy, though, will get the head-up display. Now, one thing I want to mention for 2027, if you're an eagle-eyed viewer, I mean really eagle-eyed, you might have noticed over here there's something missing. There's no more fingerprint reader. Hyundai is actually taking that off of the Santa Fe lineup this year. You don't actually have to use that for the digital key to work, for example. It's mostly just used for your driver profiles, so they have removed that this year. Now, as far as the steering wheel is concerned, we've got that two-tone finish like the rest of the interior. It's manual tilt and telescoping. Of course, you can get steering wheel heating as well, and rain-sensing wipers towards the top of the trim lineup. And let's take a look next at interior storage. So this console continues to be able to open from two different sides, and inside, well, I guess I might as well open it this way so Mason can get the best view of it. You're gonna find a lot of donuts. And by a lot, I mean every single donut that we bring along, because this vehicle continues to have a ton of interior console storage. This thing is super deep and super long, so you can fit anything you want to put in there, guaranteed. Now, in front of that, you got your two cup holders. XRT and above gets dual wireless phone charging pads. All but the base have at least one charging pad. And then down here, you have a full pass-through storage area. Not done yet. We have a passenger storage shelf and a second passenger storage shelf that you can actually seal something behind. So again, very versatile and very well packaged this model is. You have your shifter over here on the column. Twist up for drive. There are paddle shifters. Twist down for reverse. Limited and Calligraphy will give you this 360-degree camera system. You can click that button right there and spin around the vehicle in a 3D view. Press the P for park. You have an electronic parking brake with a brake hold function as well. Now that we're in this region, we can take a look at the climate controls. So this has a dual zone automatic climate control system. You can adjust the temperature with these nice knobs, and then the rest are going to be inside of this approximately 6-inch touch display. So you can adjust things like your fan speed right there. This is also where you can turn on your heated seats, which are included on all but the base SE trim level. And then you get ventilated seats for the limited and the Calligraphy trim level. There are also physical controls for the audio system. So in this Calligraphy, we have a 12-speaker Bose sound system. So if you want, go ahead and get your high-quality headphones and listen along with us for a quick sample. Wow, that was a lot of bass there. Certainly this is going to be a bass-heavy sound system. That was a bass-heavy song, of course. But it does fill up the cabin really well, and it's a pretty high-quality system. Plus, you get real metal speaker grills, which is a very nice touch, again, for this type of vehicle. All right, main infotainment system now, 12.3 inches. This is standard on all versions of the Santa Fe. You have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Here's what the main system itself looks like. Upper trims will have built-in navigation as well. This is the CCNC software. Rising above here, the top Calligraphy gets the full digital camera rear view mirror with HomeLink remotes built in. We have a really nice suede headliner. XRT and above gets one sunroof, but if you get Limited or Calligraphy, you also get a second sunroof back there with a power sunshade.
But I think you're going to be incredibly impressed with this rear seat area. So let's go ahead and talk about what you're going to find. First of all, let's talk about the space. So what we're sitting at is 42.3 inches of legroom, 40.6 inches of headroom. That boxy design certainly gives you a ton of headroom. And also when it comes to legroom, this is pretty much the class leader, especially if you're looking at a smaller SUV option that really aligns more price point wise than this. Now it's very similar to a Hyundai Palisade as well. And I brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason I do that is to get a realistic knee room figure for you. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8" and I'm 5'9". We're sitting at 9.5 inches of knee space. That is absolutely incredible. Also, my feet can easily slide up underneath of the seats. Now, speaking of the seats, there's quite a lot to talk about. So first of all, you do have the ability to slide forward a really good distance. That's good if you have a car seat installed and need easy access. However, that's not all the features, because you may notice that we have captain's chairs. So captain's chairs are included on the Limited trim level and above, and that's actually going to give you the full power adjustment as well. So you do slide forward and back manually. However, the recline function itself is going to be fully power, and you also have the ability to kind of raise up the thigh extension here as well. So it's a really comfortable rear seat. I honestly can think of nothing in this segment that has as nice of a rear seat as this, that's for sure. Now, if you need maximum seating capacity, you can get an optional bench seat on the Limited trim, but the Calligraphy is locked into this version, and that means you have 6-passenger versus 7-passenger. Now, let's talk about other features. Of course, you can access the center console from back here. You also do have this little sliding tray that allows you to also access things in the front of the vehicle. You have 2 USB ports, a couple hooks in the back. You have vents that are located in the B-pillar itself, and still not done, because we have rear window sunshades on your higher end examples. You have leatherette on the upper part, wood trim all through the center, a leatherette pad for your arm to rest on, and then you'll notice in front of that you actually have heated back seats, and that's also going to be included on your higher end examples. Just no seat ventilation. You have to get the Palisade if you want that. You have 2 bottle storage compartments here, and then you even have another one down below. Now, depending on what car you're cross-shopping the Santa Fe with, you really don't expect to have a third row at all, especially when it comes to the pricing, but you have a standard one here on the Santa Fe. In order to get back here, all you do is press that button right there. That's going to allow the seat to kind of slide out of the way and also power recline the seat back. It makes for a pretty decent entry into the third row itself, and let's check it out. So, in the third row, honestly, guys, this is a pretty nice one. So we're sitting at 29.9 inches of legroom, 37 inches of headroom. So once again, that, very boxy shape gives you a lot of headroom back here. And even with the seat slid most of the way back, we're looking at about 3 inches of knee space. My feet can easily slide up underneath of these seats. However, I will say, of course, the thigh support leaves a little bit to be desired. I think they could improve on that, but the Palisade is slightly better than this. So, Hyundai does sell you a better third row if you want one. Now, as far as features, we have 2 cup holders over here on the side. We also have vents located right here on this panel. You can additionally adjust your own fan speed here in the rear, so you don't have your own zone of climate, but you have your own fan adjustment, a USB-C port, and even a household style outlet. So really a lot of features. Also, the rear glass is very squared off and large, so it really doesn't feel too claustrophobic back here. So as far as how it rates on our third row rating scale, I'm going to say that this is fit for the in-laws. Now walking up to the tailgate, a hands-free power one is actually standard across every single Santa Fe. That's a pretty nice feature to be on, especially the base models. And let's talk about overall cargo capacity. So we're sitting at 14 cubic feet of space behind the third row of seats. If I fold these seats down, which by the way, they're not power folding, you can get power folding on a Palisade if you want that. That's going to give you 40 cubic feet of space. And then with all the seats folded down, which by the way, once more, I do have handles to actually do that. I can just, with one simple press, fold those seats down. That's going to give me 80 cubic feet of maximum cargo capacity. Those are going to be really great numbers, you know, for this segment of vehicle. It's not quite as big as a Palisade, but it's only about 7 cubic foot less than a Palisade. So that's really something to keep in mind. The space difference is not massive between them. Now, speaking of all those rivals, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at all the 3-row midsize SUVs, the 2-row midsize SUVs, and ranked them on our website in different categories such as cargo capacity, interior luxury, powertrain choices, technology, and you can sort the chart based on the categories that are most important to you to really make an informed buying decision. So we definitely recommend before you make your purchase, check that out and make sure you're making a smart purchase on what's best for you and your family. Now let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. So as far as cargo length is concerned behind Drew's driving position, we're looking at around 80 inches of length. That's quite good. From behind the second row with it slid all the way back, 42 inches of length. And from behind the third row, it's not going to be a lot. It's going to be about 14 inches of length. Now, Hyundai was quick to brag. They have the widest opening tailgate in the segment, and indeed, 50 inches wide. That's super, super good. And then the height is also quite good at 32 inches tall. Now let's get our load-in height as well. That's going to be about 31 inches. And then underneath of the floor here, you will find a little bit of extra space. The gasoline variants do also get a spare tire. However, be aware the hybrid model actually will delete the spare tire. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2027 Hyundai Santa Fe. In this test drive, we'll be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. But first and foremost, we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, that takes us to 60 miles an hour with the Santa Fe. So, like we talked about at the very beginning in the spec dump, there's 2 different ways that you can get this Santa Fe. You can get a traditional gas option, or you can choose a hybrid as well if you prefer. We've got the traditional gas option, a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It's got 277 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. Hyundai Motor Group uses this engine in a lot of different models, but in terms of how it operates here in the Santa Fe, it's really plenty of power. It's actually more than you would expect. It gets this up to speed pretty quickly, actually under 7 seconds.
Yeah, that is for sure. Now, you know, depending on what you're cross-shopping this with, you know, I keep kind of saying that, you know, in this review, in the rear seat area and all of that. That's because price-wise, you really could be cross-shopping this with a lot of 2-row midsize SUVs. Yes, it does have 3 rows, but really price-wise, it's more aligned with those. And it is going to be on the upper end of the power space for the 2-row midsize segment. That is for sure. Now, additionally, they do have a hybrid option. So if you're not super concerned about being the utmost of quickness to 60 miles an hour, you can get the hybrid, and that's going to have 231 horsepower, 271 pound-feet of torque. Of course, that's going to get you a lot better fuel economy, and the 0 to 60 on that is sitting in around 7.8 seconds. So it's still not like super slow or anything, but it is going to be about a second slower to 60.
Now, as far as the transmission, we've got an 8-speed automatic. This was something that Hyundai actually changed last year. They removed the previous dual-clutch automatic transmission and went to a conventional 8-speed automatic. This was a nice improvement. This is a really smooth transmission, and it really helps with your around-town performance versus how this vehicle first launched.
Absolutely, that is for sure. The hybrid's going to have a different 6-speed automatic, though, and we are on our designated strip of road to get things like our sound level reading, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in with that. We'll put it on fan speed 1 and see how quiet it is in here. Nicely done. 54.5 decibels is our sound level reading here in the Santa Fe. Now, we don't have to sit here and guess how it compares against its rivals when it comes to the sound level reading. We can find that all on our website, carconfections.com/sound level readings. And indeed, that is going to place this as one of the quieter options that you can get in the 2-row midsize space. Also in the 3-row midsize space, it is going to be pretty well positioned. However, I will say that other rivals, in their own lineup, like the Hyundai Palisade, has a little bit of a quieter cabin overall. So keep that in mind depending on your level of, comfort with the sound entering into the cabin. Now, I do want to also mention real fast how the power is routed to the ground. So you have standard front-wheel drive or available all-wheel drive, and that goes across every single trim level except for the XRT, which is off-road focused, and that will come standard with all-wheel drive. Additionally, when it comes to your fuel economy, you're probably wondering about that. So we're sitting at 24 or 23 mpg combined for this turbo model. Now, the hybrid, like I mentioned earlier, does get you way better fuel economy, and by way better, I mean 35 or 36 miles per gallon combined. So that, you can do the math on that. It's around 12 mpg better than this gasoline variant. So it is a pretty substantial difference between those two powertrains. If you're wondering my personal opinion, we have driven both of them extensively. I would probably pick the hybrid myself just because of that additional fuel economy.
Now, as we kind of go around a couple of little corners here on our test drive, I do want to mention this is not a sporty vehicle in the grand scheme of things. It's definitely going to be geared heavily towards comfort, so you do have a little bit of body roll, but this really impacts your ride quality, which is fantastic with the Santa Fe.
Yeah, they do such a good job with this model. If you follow the channel, we owned one for a period of time. We took it on a lot of good road trips, and it is so comfortable. I have to say, even with the 21-inch wheels that this Calligraphy has, this is the largest wheel size that you can get in the lineup, it still does a phenomenal job. The seats are super comfortable, and like Drew said, this is a vehicle that's definitely focused just on the comfort side of things. It's not trying to be sporty, and indeed, that does give you really phenomenal ride quality. Compared to the Palisade, honestly, I don't think it's a huge difference.
No, I was going to say, we own a 2027 Telluride with the 21-inch alloy wheels. This ride's better. We also need to get into the Slam Dunk and Airball. I will start with the Slam Dunk, and that's just how value-packed this model remains, and really it's across the entire lineup. That's one thing I like about it. You don't have to get the top model to get a lot of really nice features. You have a really strong offering no matter which trim you choose.
Yeah, and if you get the top model, it's basically like a luxury car, honestly. Now, on the flip side, our Airball is just going to be the controversial styling of the Santa Fe. We do expect them to heavily refresh this product very soon. So I think in the next model year, probably 2028, we'll probably see it here in the next 6 months. Maybe a fully redesigned exterior design. I know a lot of you guys aren't a huge fan of the way this Santa Fe looks. So if you're really wanting one, but don't love the way it looks, maybe just hold on a little bit longer and you can get a refreshed example. So what about pricing? So we start at $35,300 for the 2027 model year. That does mean that gasoline prices only went up around $250 this year, so really no pricing increases. The hybrid is around $500 more expensive and starts at $36,000. Now you see the full lineup of prices on the screen right now, and as far as this specific model, we have the 27 Santa Fe Calligraphy all-wheel drive, so this is a fully loaded example. $49,650, plus we have quite a handful of accessories. $1,650 destination, we're looking at $52,700 as tested today. If you're curious as to where it's manufactured, it is going to be in Alabama. And if you're looking to buy a Hyundai Santa Fe or any vehicle, we'd encourage you to check out carconfections.com/newcarquotes as well. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use if you plan on doing dealership negotiation. You can find a link to that down below in our video description, as well as a pinned comment at the top of this video, and there's also things like a monthly payment calculator on there. But what about Hyundai's resale reliability and warranty? First up, let's talk about resale value. Hyundai as a brand is rated at 55.35% of estimated retained value after 5 years and 60,000 miles, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 19.61%. Now, it's worth noting that is actually above industry average for all vehicle brands. However, it's still not quite as good as some of the Japanese rivals you could be looking at, such as Honda, Toyota, or Subaru.
Now we also have reliability information with our combined reliability index. When updated to the latest data, Hyundai is rated above the overall industry average against all other vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, you can find that all on our website, carconfections.com. Now, when it comes to your warranty, let's hit that real fast. We have a 5-year, 60,000-mile basic warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. However, be aware that Hyundai eliminated complimentary maintenance across their lineup, so you no longer get that. And guys, I hope you enjoyed watching one of the very first reviews of this 2027 Hyundai Santa Fe. If you enjoyed hearing about this very popular family 3-row and its 2027 changes, we'd appreciate you subscribing down below and becoming a part of our Car Confections family. We strive to provide you all with the latest and greatest content, and we'd love to welcome you in if you're not already a part of our family. Thank you for your continued support if you are, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.